Hi everyone, I'm Manon Lagrève, and today I'm going to take you through step-by-step of how to make a maple croquembouche decorated with maple caramel. In my family, we make croquembouche for special occasion, so this recipe is perfect to bring a little bit of maple magic to your Christmas tables this year. First things first, let's make the choux pastry. It's super easy, so you need a pan, and I'm going to melt the butter and the water together. And then the water. Woo-hoo. So this is gonna take just like a couple of minutes. Let's add a little bit of maple sweetness with maple sugar. Okay, so that's all nice and melted. Now let's just add the flour all in one go. That's gonna create kind of like a paste. So let's mix that together, and then I'm gonna put the heating on to create a nice kind of ball. Okay, so as you can see now, it looks like a ball of dough. So don't worry, this is what you want. We are going to let it steam out for 10 minutes to extract any moisture in the pastry, and then we'll add our eggs. This is perfect. So I'm gonna transfer my pastry to the bowl of my electric mixer, like that. And I'm just gonna give it a little whiz. So you see it still steams out, which is great. Continue until there's no more steam. Okay, so now there's no more steam coming out of my pastry, time to add the eggs. So I keep my mixer on and I add the eggs one by one. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. Up. So wait until the eggs is nicely incorporated. Okay, let's add our second egg. Okay, and last one. Okay, so let's just scrape a little bit around the bowl to make sure that everything goes in. One last little whisk, and then we're good. Okay, perfect. So a little tip to make sure that your pastry is done. I just put my spatula in, and then if I do that, you see it's kind of give you a nice V, which means it's perfect. Time now to fill our piping bag. So I just have a straight round nozzle at the end to make some really nice round choux. One hand, little cone, and we just fill it up. Piping is actually much easier than you think, and one little tip to have even choux, I just count. So I think I'm gonna count 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's do it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and you just continue. 1, 2. Okay, now some little tips. So just take some water, put your finger in, and we're just gonna come and flatten the top of a little choux like this. So then they're gonna be nice and even. Last tip, I just use a fork and I just gently press on top like this. Again, this is to make sure you have nice and even round choux. I know choux sounds scary, but with these tips, you're gonna be fine. Final touch, let's brush them with some egg yolks, then 5 minutes in the fridge, and time to be cooking. Okay, a little pastry brush. Again, if you don't have one, just use your fingers, just to give them a little bit of color. Finally, I'm gonna pop these in the fridge for 15 minutes, so they're nice and cold. And then we'll cook them at 200 degrees for 10 minutes, and then turn it down to 180 degrees for another 8 minutes, so they're nice and dry. All right, first things first, for the maple crème pâtissière, I'm just gonna start by heating gently my milk. Then here in a bowl, I have my egg yolks. Then, what I love about maple syrup is that you can actually make sugar. And maple sugar is a great festive ingredient and it really adds depth of flavor to your recipes. Now, time to add the flour. Let's just give it a little whisk. Once it's nice and silky like this, I'm gonna add a quarter of my milk to bring everything to temperature. And then we'll put everything back to your pan and cook for another 5 minutes until it's nice and thick. Let's put it back. It smells so good. I can really smell the maple, which is amazing. So I can already feel that it's starting to thicken quite quickly. So just continue to whisk it gently. Look at that consistency. It is beautiful. Okay, so now let's cool it down. I have a tray and I'm just gonna gently pour it here. The clearing film is just so that it doesn't create a skin on top of the cream, so it's nice and smooth. This is gonna cool for half an hour at room temperature and then another hour in the fridge. Okay, showtime. So my choux are nice and cold. I filled my piping bag with a maple crème pâtissière and we're gonna start to assemble. So first, let's make our maple caramel. I just poured 250 milliliters of maple from Quebec in a pan and we are going to heat this up to about 110 degrees. So then it's gonna be very sticky and perfect for a maple croquembouche. All right, so to fill my choux, I make a little hole using a toothpick, about like this, so then it's easy to fill them up. So you see they're nice and dry, which is perfect. Okay, so with my piping bag, I take my choux and just place the nozzle in the middle, press it nicely, like this. I love this part of the choux. It's just all of your hard work. We're getting there. So, my choux are filled, my maple caramel is done. As you can see, the maple syrup is darker and it's a bit more thick, which is perfect for a caramel. And now I have a glass or any cone you have at home, and I'm just gonna grease it, and then I'm gonna come around the glass to start to build our croquembouche. This is not very pretty, it's a messy bit, but you have to do it. Okay, so now I'm gonna make my choux nice and glossy. So I just dip my pan so then the caramel really sits at the bottom and stays the same temperature. So we just take one choux, carefully dip it inside, and then you can see it's all nice and shiny. Actually in Canada, what they do as well is they heat up the maple syrup and they pour it onto the ice outside, and then the kids come along with a little stick and they make little lollipops that they call taffy, and it's so delicious. My choux are now nice and glossy with the maple caramel. Time to assemble our croquembouche. So I'm taking 2 choux, put them into the caramel together to stick, dip the side of the choux, wait a couple of seconds for the caramel to set, and then I'm gonna come and place it just right next to our other choux. Wait a couple of seconds, and that should stick like this. And now you just slowly build up everything together. So again, patience. This recipe is actually quite fun to make, in the afternoon with your family, everyone in the kitchen, with sticky fingers, but all together building up your croquembouche. So I'm just making some little thread of caramel by just pulling, the sugar, and it just adds extra kind of wow factor to your maple croquembouche. And there you go, my festive maple croquembouche. So if you like this recipe, don't forget to follow Maple Canada UK on Instagram, Facebook or Twitter for more recipes inspiration. And most importantly, look after yourself, stay safe, send lots of love to all of your friends and family, and Merry Christmas, y'all.